The wind swept hard across the open stretch of the Montana plains as dusk dragged its red-orange curtain across the sky, and the lonely rancher, Cole Hartman, pushed open the heavy barn doors with shoulders hardened by years of work and a heart softened by a pain he never talked about. His wife had disappeared 2 winters ago in a snowstorm, and though everyone insisted she was gone for good, Cole still woke at night believing he heard her voice calling his name. On this particular evening, as the smell of hay curled around him like an old friend, he heard something unusual: quiet footsteps, light, hesitant, almost afraid to exist. He turned sharply, hand drifting toward the old revolver on his belt, only to freeze when a woman stepped from the shadows, shivering, soaked by the sudden mountain rain, her clothes clinging to her like they were stitched from fear itself. She looked young, maybe mid-20s, with hair dripping down her shoulders, and eyes that carried the weight of someone who'd run far, farther than her legs were meant to go. "Please, don't be scared," she whispered, hugging herself tightly, her voice trembling like a candle flame in a draft. Cole didn't recognize her from town or the nearby settlements, and the silence between them grew thick until she finally spoke again. "I didn't mean to trespass. I didn't know where else to go." Cole watched her closely, recognizing the kind of desperation that couldn't be faked. He cleared his throat and motioned her inside. "Storm's dropping heavy tonight. You'll freeze out there," he said, his tone gruff but not unkind. She nodded gratefully and stepped toward the warmth of the barn lights, glancing over her shoulder as if something or someone had chased her here. When the thunder cracked overhead, she flinched violently, and Cole's instincts sharpened. He'd seen that sort of reaction before in wounded animals and hunted people. When he offered her a blanket, she hesitated, then took it with trembling fingers. "Thank you," she murmured, but as she wrapped it around herself, Cole noticed something strange. She kept adjusting her boots, not out of discomfort, but like she was hiding something beneath them. He pretended not to notice, giving her space, but the rancher inside him, the man who had learned to read the land, the weather, and the hearts of people, felt that something was wrong. She sat on a hay bale, trying to steady her breath, but every few moments she glanced at the barn door, waiting, listening. Finally, Cole crouched down in front of her and said gently, "Miss, you're safe here. No one's getting to you tonight." She swallowed hard, eyes filling with tears, and whispered, "I hope you're right." For the next hour, the storm raged while Cole lit a fire in the potbelly stove, and slowly the woman began to warm up. The flickering firelight revealed bruises along her arms, half hidden beneath her sleeves. Cole's jaw tightened. He didn't ask. She clearly wasn't ready to speak, but he stayed nearby, sharpening tools and keeping watch. Eventually, she whispered her name, Lily. No last name, no explanation, just Lily. She kept quiet until the rain softened, and the barn fell into a calm, heavy silence broken only by the distant howl of coyotes. Then she shifted uncomfortably, wincing as she reached down toward her boots again. Cole finally asked, "What's wrong with your feet?" She froze, really froze. Then she lifted her head, and her voice came out so small it barely existed. "Cole, please, take them off." The way she said it sent a tremor through him, not seductive, not playful, but pleading, terrified, vulnerable in a way that made his heart pound with protective instinct. He hesitated. "Are you hurt?" She nodded, breath hitching. I can't do it myself." Cole knelt slowly, not wanting to scare her, and reached for the laces. Her body tensed, every muscle tight like she expected pain. And when he slid the boot off, what he found inside made his knees buckle, so hard he nearly hit the floor. Her foot was wrapped in torn cloth soaked with blood, but worse, hidden under layers of makeshift bandages were shackles, metal restraints broken at the chain but still locked around her ankles. She had run from someone dangerous, someone close enough to find her. Cole looked up at Lily with a new kind of fear not of her, but for her. "Who did this to you?" he whispered. Her breath shook. She turned her head toward the dark barn door, eyes wide. "They're coming." For a long moment the barn fell into a silence so deep it felt like the land itself was holding its breath, and Cole stared at the broken shackles clinging to Lily's ankles, the raw wounds where metal had carved into flesh, the story written in blood instead of words. He felt a surge of anger rise inside him. The kind he hadn't felt since his wife vanished, that old, buried fire that could turn a quiet rancher into something fierce and unstoppable. Lily tried to stand, but her legs buckled like a newborn fawn's, and Cole caught her before she fell, steadying her gently. His hands warm, steady, protective. "You're safe," he said again. But she shook her head violently, panic gripping her like a vice. "You don't understand," she whispered, her voice cracking. "They're not just looking for me. They own everything around here, even the sheriff. If they find me with you, you'll die too." Cole's grip tightened. He had never been a man to run from trouble, especially when trouble involved someone helpless and alone. "Let them try," he growled, a dangerous steadiness settling into his bones. He carried her into the ranch house despite her protests and set her gently onto the old leather couch by the fireplace, where the warm glow softened her pale face, while heating water to clean her wounds. Cole listened as she finally told her story, how a corrupt land baron named Maddox ran a remote compound where women were taken, forced to work, watched day and night, how she had been brought there months earlier after refusing to sign over her family's ranch to Maddox's men, how she escaped only after stealing a key and breaking the chain connecting her ankles, and how Maddox sent his armed riders after her, vowing to bring her back dead or alive. Cole felt rage burn in his chest like wildfire. "You came to the right place," he said quietly. "No one's taking you from here." Lily tried to protest again, but as he cleaned her wounds, the fight drained out of her, and she finally allowed herself to rest, her eyes fluttering shut as exhaustion pulled her under. Cole stayed awake deep into the night, sitting by the window with his rifle across his lap, watching the tree line for movement, every shadow a potential threat. Around midnight, he saw a flicker of lanterns in the distance, men on horseback moving slowly, deliberately, searching. They knew she had come this way. Cole's heart hammered, but he didn't wake Lily. She needed rest more than fear. Instead, he stepped outside, boots sinking into the soft, rain-soaked ground, and waited on the porch, the rifle steady in his hands. The riders drew closer until he could hear the clink of tack and the low murmur of men speaking. A lone rider separated from the group and approached the gate. Maddox himself, tall, sharp-eyed, dressed in a long coat that looked black even in moonlight. "Evening, Hartman," Maddox called out smoothly. "We're looking for someone. Pretty little thing. Dangerous, desperate. You seen her?" Cole spit into the dirt. "Ain't seen a soul." Maddox smiled coldly. "Mind if we look around?" Cole leveled the rifle. "Yeah, I mind." For a long moment, neither man moved. Then Maddox tipped his hat with mocking politeness. "Suit yourself. But she won't get far, and anyone helping her." He let the threat hang in the air like smoke from a burning cabin. Then he rode off, his men scattering into the darkness. Cole didn't sleep the rest of the night, nor the next. He taught Lily how to shoot, how to move without making noise, how to survive off the land. In return, she taught him something he thought he'd lost forever: hope. She reminded him of what it felt like to have someone in the house again, someone to talk to, someone to care for. Days turned into weeks, and each day Lily grew stronger, not just her body, but her spirit. She smiled again. She laughed quietly. She no longer looked over her shoulder every few minutes. But Maddox never stopped hunting. One morning, long after the frost had melted from the fields, Lily stood on the porch with Cole and took a deep breath. "We can't hide forever," she said softly. "We end this together." Cole nodded. They rode out that afternoon, side by side, heading toward Maddox's compound with a plan carved from bravery and desperation. What followed would become whispered legend in the Montana valleys: a rancher and a wounded runaway taking down a tyrant whose cruelty stretched for miles. When the sun finally rose over the burned remains of Maddox's empire, Lily stood barefoot in the ashes, free for the first time in years, and Cole knew his knees had buckled that first night, not from fear, but from fate. He had found someone worth fighting for, someone who brought him back to life, someone who reminded him that even broken things can be rebuilt. And as they rode home together, she rested her head against his shoulder and whispered, "Thank you for not letting me face the world alone." Cole smiled, the wind carrying his words across the dawn. "You'll never be alone again." If you enjoyed this powerful story and want more gripping tales of courage, survival, and heart-stirring emotion, Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Your support helps bring these stories to life, and there are many more waiting just for you.